Hey guys, Gary the Gremlin here, but I can't deal with that now because today we're looking at a behemoth of a figure, the Mattel Jurassic World Legacy Collection Diplodocus. Okay, now how do I start here? I love Diplodocus. It is one of my favorite dinosaurs. I know I say this every video, but I mean it here. If I were to be getting a tattoo of any dinosaur, or really just any tattoo in general, it would be Diplodocus. That's how much I love this big fella. More than Spinosaurus, more than T-Rex, more than even one of my other favorites, Borealopelta. It's Diplodocus. As soon as this figure was revealed like a full year ago or something, I knew I must have it. But then, I started the agonizing and painful wait for the inevitable. You see, these super sauropods always go on deep clearance once they've been sitting on shelves for more than a couple months, and they always somehow manage to do it like clockwork. I waited patiently, I watched the sales come and go, and finally, the time was right when the price dropped from a hefty $70 to a cheap $20.88. The only problem, the shelf was empty. I tried 4 different targets over 4 different days, and there was no luck. I could not find my sweet Dippy anywhere. Mind you, this was also the week that Jurassic World Rebirth toys started hitting shelves earlier than their release date. But I couldn't be bothered because I was desperately searching for a figure that came out ages ago. Long story short, I got him. My girlfriend had to convince me not to walk out of the store with 3 of these in hand because the allure of owning a whole herd of these herbivores was overwhelming. Dipster does not disappoint, but before we get into the nitty-gritty of the figure, I'd like to get real with you for just a moment. 1 second of your time. Hope you guys are eating lunch watching this video because it's about to be long. You guys know my deal by now. When you watch a Gary the Gremlin video, you're not really just getting an action figure review, you're also getting all my thoughts on how dinosaurs are the most amazing thing ever, and I'll tie it all poetically to my emotions and stuff. I have a film degree first and a YouTube channel second. Yada yada. Here's today's thing. I love nature. I love the outdoors. I love the sunlight dappling through a tree's leaves and the natural beauty of the untouched world. You wouldn't know this because I spend 90% of my time indoors at my desk making these videos, but I love the wilderness. The place I feel most at peace is a national park. I also love dinosaurs. They say every kid chooses one of the 3 to obsess over: trucks, trains, or dinosaurs. I chose dinosaurs and have not slowed down since then. Tracing it all back, I think my love of nature starts with dinosaurs. I first watched BBC's Walking with Dinosaurs when I was around 3 years old. It was amazing and still is to this day. This love of dinosaurs that started there led to my love of nature for all I can tell. I love the Blue Ridge Parkway. I try to visit it at least once a year. When I stand on a cliff there overseeing the vistas, I am not watching the same thing as the other people. I am not watching the clouds or observing the trees and their colors in the same way. I am sitting, seeing the absence of the dinosaurs, and imagining what it would be like if they were still here. Here we have a sort of chicken and egg situation. Dinosaurs are amazing, and they led to my curiosity with the natural world and science. A growing understanding of the natural world and science led to a greater appreciation and deeper love for the dinosaurs. It's a feedback loop, and every day it makes me appreciate each one more. As a side tangent, maybe that's why I often harp so much on scientific inaccuracy. I know that the majority of people don't care about dinosaurs or care about science. I read it in my comments section daily. I just want to share with them the same genuine sense of wonderment and amazement I have with these creatures, and I don't think the mainstream dinosaur movie situation does a good enough job of fostering an interest or curiosity in science. I don't know, I get so many people in my comments angry that I take the time to discuss scientific inaccuracy. First, as is obvious, if you don't like a video, you don't necessarily have to watch it or click on it. You could fart on a railroad spike for all I care. But more seriously, most people's only interaction with dinosaurs is through the Jurassic World films, which often show depictions of dinosaurs that are completely fabricated or just outdated by 30 plus years. That's why it bugs me. I love a good silly inaccurate dino every once in a while, but all the time is just too much. Prehistoric Planet made great strides in bringing a scientific approach to dinosaurs to household screens, but then I think Jurassic World Dominion coming out just a month later shot all its goodwill right down. This is all to say, in so many words, that I love dinosaurs and always will, and it's led to a greater appreciation for qualities such as peace, tranquility, beauty, and awe as it comes to nature. It is also important to note how crucial walking with dinosaurs was in that process. I love WWD. It's in many ways still the best to ever do it as it comes to dinosaur documentary. So many of the moments feel so iconic, but the animals are so real and majestic and there. Certainly, this is why good old Diplodocus is cemented in my heart as my favorite sauropod and one of my favorite dinos. And okay, that was a lot, but that leads us to actually discussing the subject of today's video. For my money's worth, this Jurassic World Mattel Legacy Collection Diplodocus does justice to the design of my most favorite big dino. We must talk about the elephant in the room here. The size of this figure is easily its most impressive feature, and also its biggest problem. See what I did there? Biggest? Okay. This dude is pushing over 50 inches long. That's gigantic. It is unfathomable how long he is without seeing it in person. I'll get into some small nitpicks later, but the only real problem with this figure you should know before buying it is that it somehow manages to be even bigger than what the box shows. Oh, yeah, there's a box. I don't know, aren't toy reviewers supposed to love these things or something? I don't. I kept this one around just long enough to film it for a review, then I'm using it to recycle, start a fire, something, I don't know. For how large Dippy is and for how much real estate there is on his body, they managed to cover it very well with scales and sculpting and spikes and such. I'm a big fan of the spines running down the length of the figure, and I'm curious what the scientific precedent for this is. I see it all the time. It's extremely common with Diplodocus restorations, but I don't know if I've ever heard exactly why. The sensible thing to do would be to Google it instead of asking my comment section, but clearly I'm not sensible. I run a YouTube channel. Let me know in the comments. There's also a scan code hidden in those spikes, by the way. Yippee, hoopla, all that. The short and skinny is that the detail is great. I have noticed with the mainline herbivores, Mattel really tends to go a little silly with the head sculpts. It's always something about the eyes. They're always just a tad too cartoonish and buggy. Dippy has caught a little case of that, which is unfortunate, but it's nowhere near as bad as other figures. The head does, however, have a wonderful opening mouth, which looks really fabulous. There's also a ball joint right here that has a very good range of motion. Posing on this guy is fairly basic and a little awkward. You can do it, but it's not going to look good. You may have noticed already, the only break in the spines is this part at the base of the neck, and then there's the world's largest universal joint. It can move up and down and then swivel. Each of the legs can move, but since there's no ankle or knee or nothing, I don't see what the point would be. The base of the tail has a really tight and really robust ball joint, allowing it to move in all sorts of directions and keep its pose. But here's the real problem, which is that every break for articulation just completely ruins the sculpt. There's a ton of different swivel points from the neck to the tail, but none of them look decent because they all stick out like a sore thumb. This last one can move, but I do so carefully, which we'll get into later. Overall, it's not the biggest thing though. I did not buy this toy expecting Figma levels of articulation. I knew the deal going in. But also, considering that back in the day, the Hammond Collection Brachiosaurus retailed for $90 and was a lot more posable than this, I wonder if there's a middle ground. I'm not saying full Hammond Collection is necessary with a rubber neck and tail and all that, but just one or two less conspicuous joints in the neck, like what's here on the Giganotosaurus tail, and then maybe some simple leg joints would really change this. I don't know exactly how Mattel prices these things, but I imagine that would just drive the price up by maybe like $10 to $15, which sounds fine with me. I'm not even asking for an improvement in paint, because for me that's fine already. I really love this color scheme, it's perfect. The nougat tan with the black and white accents is amazing. It reminds me of this artwork of a Diplodocus by Fred Wierum, and considering how this is an original Mattel creation, not based on an official Jurassic Park design, this image definitely could have been the inspiration. Actually saying that, this illustration is on the Wikipedia for Diplodocus. If a Mattel designer was searching up the Dipster, it's almost certain they would have seen this image at some point. Is this drawing this toy's dad? I really love right here on the neck where the black and white clash and form some nice contrast. That's wonderful. He could have used some paint on the toes, of course, but it's commonplace not to have that. And the size is insanity. You're looking at 56 inches long, or in other words, 4 feet and 8 inches. And depending on how you pose the neck, he's between a foot to 2 feet tall. For a size comparison, how about his Jurassic best friend, the Allosaurus? This comparison makes me wish I had a whole herd of Dippies even more, and that a pack of 3 or so Allosaur to hunt him down, it'd be absolute cinema. Here's the Hammond Collection T-Rex and the Giganotosaurus. It's next to these you really feel the size of this figure. These previously were the largest figure in my room, and they're not even half the length of this guy. Here's channel mascot and 1/18th scale human stand-in, Action Master Grimlock, who could easily fit inside Dippy's leg. He's so small next to it. For one last comparison, here is my brand new Jurassic World Rebirth Tail Thrasher Spinosaurus. Now, I've got one more thing to note before we move on, say goodbye, and do the usual part where you like, comment, and subscribe and all that. When I first got this Dipster out of the box and assembled it, I had some major issues with the tip of the tail being too loose. From browsing around some comment sections, I saw this is unfortunately a very common issue with the toy. First, I tried some tape around the joint, then a rubber band, and finally I just super glued it on. It's not the biggest thing, but it segues nicely into my main issue with the figure, and all the Mattel sauropods. Once you've taken him out of the box, you cannot put him back in. These joints are locked in forever. The neck and tail are not coming off. I originally was going to film this review at the beach, but because this 56-inch sauropod can't disassemble at all, that could not happen. I wasn't going to drive hours to the beach with the Dinkster taking up my entire trunk. Getting this guy is in many ways a commitment, just because how big this suspension bridge of an animal is, and making it able to come apart then go back together again would have been great. I do it all the time with the Hammond Collection figures for transporting them. The large carnivores fit so much more easily in a bag if you just pop that tail off. The same thing would have been a game changer here for Dippy, because it would mean I could easily store it back in the box it came in when I don't want it taking up a whole third of my room. In the end though, I'm still really blown away by this dino. For me, this sauropod represents all that dinosaurs are about. Curiosity and amazement with the beautiful earth we live on. This design means so much to me. It does really lovingly capture the wonder of the Diplodocus. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you watched this while eating lunch, comment down below what you ate. If you watched this while pooping, comment down below something else, I guess. I want to give a big thank you to everyone who's made it this far, and a big thank you to Jurassic World Rebirth, because this review was only possible because of Target needing to clear shelves for that new product. Thank you, JWR. Alright, I've been Gary the Grillman. As always, like, comment, and subscribe to see more, and I'll catch you guys later.